Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Bhakti Dharma class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadambadiyam Tadati Svavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathānvitam tam sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगे शिवानो प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, we are discussing from third canto. We are on chapter 25th. The chapter is entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. So far, we have discussed in the beginning of this chapter, Devavati approaches Kapaladev and tells, I am disgusted with this material energy. Nirvinna nitaran bhuman asal indriya tarshanat. Please show me the way how I can come out of this illusion. And she calls Kapaladev by three adjectives. Anyone remembers? क्या बोलती हैं वो? Okay, yes. You are my transcendental acts. Before that, she says, you are Satchakshu. You are my transcendental eyes. You are like the sun. You can dispel the darkness. You are like that axe. Cut off the tree of material existence. So in response to these prayers, Kapaladev, he tells, I'll teach you Adhyatmika Yoga. And that Adhyatmika Yoga is of three types, Jnana, Ashtanga, and Bhakti. And he begins by telling in all these three, the basic principle is controlling the mind. Mind is the basic principle which has to be controlled. And of these three, the easiest to perform is Bhakti Yoga. So he begins by describing the glories of Bhakti Yoga. And he tells, you can get devotion by associating with devotees. So who are these devotees? How will I identify them? The secondary quality of devotee is described. Tirikshava, Karunika, Suridas Sarvadehinam. What is the primary quality of a devotee? Mai ananya bhavena bhakti kurvanti ye dridha. They do dridha bhakti. So that's what he describes. And then he tells, you by associating with devotees, you'll not just get liberated, you will get prema also. Satam prasangam mama veere samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasaya katha. हाँ
आजकल श्लोकों की नहीं याद कर नेक्स्ट टाइम
अभी तो टाइम है ना, अभी तो आज तो 22 है,
आगे आगे
बहुत आगे पहुंच गया. So then he describes these devotees, they're constantly engaged in my devotional service, they develop distaste. Bhaktya puman jat viraga indriyad. Drishta shrutan madarachananu chintaya. So in this way, he explains the process of Bhakti Yoga. And then he describes Jnana and Ashtanga in two verses. Very briefly, he describes them. So in the after 30 verses, 30th verse, Devahuti, she is now convinced that she wants to practice bhakti only. So in the 32nd verse, I think 30,
ஒரு
in she asks in
in
28, 20, 27, yes. In 27th verse, the Kapiladev has described these three yoga paths, and then he describes Devahuti asks, Kachit tvai uchita bhakti kidrishi mama gochara. Which type of bhakti should I perform? And that bhakti should bring one to the lotus feet of the Lord, should be aiming at the Lord. Yo yogo bhagavad bana. So please describe what type of bhakti should I perform? So in response to these questions, Kapil Dev, he answers the first question, Kachit Twai Uchita, which type of bhakti? So in 31st verse, Maitreya Muni describes that after hearing the statement of his mother, Kapil Dev could understand her purpose and he became compassionate towards her. He described the Sankhya philosophy, which is a combination of devotional service and mystic realization. So we'll continue from the 32nd verse. So in order to speak about the yoga filled with bhakti, Kapila Dev is now describing bhakti which is beyond the modes of nature. So first, the yoga which is beyond, filled with bhakti. That means bhakti is a prominent, and that too pure bhakti. That means it is beyond the contaminations of the three modes. Because in future, Kapila Dev will describe bhakti in the three modes also. So now here he is describing bhakti which is beyond the three modes. So we'll recite the 32nd verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Devanam Gunalingana Anushravika Karmana Sattva Evaika Manaso Vritti Sat Swabhaviki Tuya Animitta Bhagavate Bhakti Siddhergariyasi.
Lord Kapila said, the senses are symbolic representations of the demigods, and their natural inclination is to work under the direction of the Vedic injunctions. As the senses are representative of the demigods, so the mind is a representative of the supreme personality of Godhead. The mind's natural duty is to serve. When that service spirit is engaged in devotional service through the personality of Godhead without any motive, that is far better even than salvation.
Yeah.
But it's a three-line shloka. Normally, always two lines are there, or four lines are there.
6 says.
Six lines.
Yeah, sometimes it is there. इसमें 7 actually.
Now, see, Bhagavan was putting it.
Oh, sorry, Sri Bhagavan के अलावा 6. Yeah. Sometimes it happens because Bhagavad Gita में भी है ना. There are, so it depends on how you club the verses. You club the various lines of the verses. Sometimes इसके आगे एक श्लोक आएगा उसमें 2 ही लाइन है. जरयति आशु या कोशम निगीर्णम अनलो यथा. So इसलिए sometimes the different acharyas they put different lines in different ways. So that's how some verses have 6 lines, some verses have 2 lines.
33 is only two lines.
Yeah.
Right.
इसके आगे ही है ना जरियति अश्वहा. So in this verse, Kapila Dev he is describing the sadhana bhakti. That is a definition. So she had asked which type of bhakti should I perform. So Kapil Dev is prescribing sadhana bhakti. So he says Animitta Bhagavati Bhakti. The last line is Animitta Bhagavati Bhakti. So bhakti to the Supreme Lord. This is I'm just taking Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's translation, which is little similar to the exact words word to word उसमें अच्छे से पता चलता है. So Chakravarti Thakur says bhakti to the Supreme Lord without material desires. That means Animitta Bhagavati Bhakti. What is that? Bhakti without material desires? It is composed of karmanam. It is composed of actions. Of what? Devanam, of the senses. And what it will reveal? It will reveal Gunalingana. It will reveal the Lord. Sense objects. It will reveal sense objects related to the Lord. That means sadhana bhakti. What is sadhana bhakti? Anybody knows the definition of sadhana bhakti? According to Nectar of Devotion or translation or whatever. What is sadhana bhakti? General definition. किसको बोलते हैं साधना?
Following the rules given in the scriptures.
Okay, ठीक है. और
Using our senses in the service of.
using our senses. We use our senses in the service of the Lord, although we don't have any attraction, spontaneous attraction for the Lord. कृति साध्या भवेत् साध्य भावा सा साधना विधा नित्य सिद्धस्य भावस्य प्राकट्यम हृदि साध्यता. So this is the verse of sadhana bhakti. कृति साध्य. When we use our senses, क्या होगा? भवेत् साध्य भाव. Will achieve bhav also. साध्य क्या है? भाव. साधन क्या है? Using the senses. नित्य सिद्धस्य भावस्य प्राकट्य. वो जो नित्य सिद्ध भाव है प्रकट होगा. That is sadhana bhakti. So same verse here. Karmanam devanam. When we use our senses, working senses. There are two types of senses. So when we use our working senses to reveal the sense objects related to the Lord, that means taking darshan of the Lord, all those things, as Amrish Maharaj ka shlok, anybody remembers that? Amrish Maharaj के बारे में आता है?
कृष्ण पदारविंद.
हाँ, वही वाला. करौ हरेर मंदिर मार्जनादिषु श्रुतिम चकाराच्युत सत्कथोदय मुकुंदलिंगालय दर्शनोदिशो. It goes on. So engaging all the working senses in the service of the Lord. And how it should be performed? Anushravik. Anushravik means जैसा सुना है गुरु से, according to the instructions of the Guru. Anushravik, अपने मन मर्जी से नहीं. Not I think मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है ऐसा करना चाहिए. No. According to the instructions. Today morning in temple, इसका रेंज थोड़ा कम क्यों दिख रहा है? 3 लाइन से दिख रहा है यहाँ पे. इंटरनेट अनस्टेबल दिखा रहा है. अपने SB Keshav Maharaj gave a class in the temple today. He gave a nice class on instructions. So, यहाँ पे एक word है, which conform to Guru's instructions. So he gave 6 instructions about instructions. What are the instructions? In what way we should take the instructions? So he said, first is instructions are unlimited. It is not that आपको instruction दिया तो just like Prabhupada, he was told you preach in the English language in the Western world. You write books. So he didn't tell एक book हो गया, done, instruction over. It is unlimited. And didn't just go to one country and came back, हो गया, Guru का instruction follow हो गया. Unlimited instructions are there. Then he said, instructions can never be denied, but they can be delayed. Now I don't have the capacity to follow it, but I'll surely do it in future. It's like Srila Prabhupada. 1922, he received the instructions. 1965, he went. Third is that understand the spiritual master's instruction in essence. Saraswati Thakur was given instructions by his guru, Gaur Kishoredas Babaji. 3 instructions. Never make disciples. Never go to Calcutta. Don't associate with materialistic people. He was doing all these 3. And Saraswati Thakur said, I followed my guru's instructions very properly. बोले क्या बोल रहे हैं आपके इतने सारे शिष्य हैं. So Saraswati Thakur, he would tell that I don't see my disciples as my disciples. They are sent by my guru and it is my duty to serve them. So they are not my disciples. I don't see them. I don't stay in Kolkata. I stay in Gaudiya Bazar Mutt. That is Vaikuntha. And association, I don't associate. What is association? When you take something from others. When we give something to materialistic people, give instructions, we are not associating with materialists. So, Fourth, he said instructions are always available. आजकल इस्कॉन में बोलते हैं हमारे गुरु हमको पर्सनल इंस्ट्रक्शन दे ही नहीं, क्या करें? So he said instructions. Saraswati Thakur, he would tell, Prabhupada, he would tell, my guru would give. नहीं, सरस्वती ठाकुर बोलते थे, I give my instructions, private instructions to my disciples publicly.
Prabhupada.
हाँ,
Prabhupada. In our case, this thing is there.
that's there.
Not privately through the year, publicly.
हाँ, वो भी हमने पढ़ा था, I think, yes.
Test.
अच्छा है ना? Okay. So publicly, instructions are available for everyone. If one is sincere, one can hear personal instructions in a public class also. Fifth is said, instructions go beyond one's intelligence. Sometimes you can't understand ये गुरुजी को मालूम है क्या हमारा यहाँ क्या situation है, वो तो कुछ भी बोल रहे हैं ये कैसे follow करेंगे? So just like Prabhupada, when he told, I followed my guru's instructions blindly. Write books, print books. And sixth is said, instructions are not just directive, they are also demonstrative. We should not just hear the words, we should also see how the Guru is acting in the world, how he behaves. Instructions. And I just thought of sharing that. So, Anushravik, which conforms to Guru's instructions. And Sattva, dedicated exclusively to God. So we should know the mind which is connected to the Lord. And Vritti Swabhaviki Tuya. Also, it includes actions at spontaneous level. Swabhaviki, I like to do this. That should also be done. So, something. Bhakti is not limited. Itna hi karna hai, Just like first class disciple understands the mind of the Guru and works accordingly. Second class disciple, when he is told, then he will do. Third class, he will doubt, still he will do. पता नहीं क्या कुछ भी बोलते रहते हैं, ठीक है करते हैं अभी गुरु हैं तो. Fourth class, he will never do. So that's how. Vritti Swaviki Tuya type of bhakti is superior to liberation. Siddhe Gariyasi. So these are the symptoms of sadhana bhakti, which are described here.
In translation, as the senses are represented, so the mind is a representative of the supreme personality of God.
Yes. So that is Prabhupada's translation. We just discussed Chakravarti Thakur's translation. Srila Prabhupada also has, given in same lines, Devanam, Gunalinganam, he has just described how the mind and the senses, some technical details to the translation. So that will always happen when we see Prabhupada's purport translations. Sometimes Prabhupada there are two types of commentaries. There is Bhavarth and there is Shabdarth. So Prabhupada prefers to give Bhavarth translations. What is the mood of this verse? He doesn't give many times Shabdarth. Exact literal word-to-word translation, he doesn't give many times. So if you want that, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does it very nicely. Exact word-to-word translation will fit in. But Prabhupada के purport translation and श्लोकों को मिलाने में बहुत मेहनत होता है कभी-कभी. Because Prabhupada adds some of the words, sometimes adds lines also, which is not there in the translation. Because Prabhupada thinks नहीं यहाँ पे जरूरी है तभी समझेगा. So that's how Prabhupada does it. But the ultimate meaning, the essence is the same. Vritti Swabhaviki Tuya. So when this practice matures, Bhakti Siddhe Gariyasi, it gives a bliss which is superior to liberation. That is one of the quality of pure devotional service. What is that? Unlimited bliss, NOD, one of the 6 qualities of devotional service. Sandrananda Vishesh Atma. So at the level of sadhana bhakti, 2 qualities that get manifested: kleshagni and shubhada. At the level of bhav bhakti, more 2 qualities are manifested: sandrananda visheshatma and moksha lahutakrit. At the stage of prema, the last 2, क्या बच गया? Sudurlabha and Sri Krishna Akarshini. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, we will see the purport or commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he writes about this. In order to speak about yoga filled with bhakti, Kapila describes bhakti beyond the gunas, the process suitable to the Lord, preferred by the Lord, about which Devahuti asked in verse number 28. काचित त्वयि उचिता भक्ति, कौन सा भक्ति करूं? तो ये बता रहे हैं Sattva means unto the Shuddha, form of Shuddha Sattva, not to the Devtas. देवताओं की भक्ति मत करो, भगवान की भक्ति करो. Sattva evaik manaso. The devotee's mind should desire to accept the Lord's form and the name with the thought that Lord alone is the most worthy of service. Evaik manaso. That is Anyabhilashita Bhakti, without any deviation. So this verse, can be just connected to various words of Anyabhilashita Bhakti also. I will see that in some time. Yeah. So Evaik Manaso. And then he says, that is, his mind does not reject the form, as is the case with yogis and others. I was discussing last time that in the 28th chapter, the form of the Lord is described, how a yogi meditates, and after meditating on the form of the Lord, the mind becomes so absorbed in the form of the Lord. लेकिन वो योगी क्या करता है उसके बाद? बेचारा बहुत मेहनत करके he drags the mind out of that form. Shanakai vyunkte. Vyunkte means he pulls the mind out of it, that form. Shanakai, gradually. But the devotee does not do it. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that. His mind does not reject the form, as is the case with the yogis. Yogis, they reject.
Then what is there?
They are absorbed in Paramatma. They want to merge in Paramatma. अगर उसमें ध्यान लगाएंगे तो भगवान में ज्यादा आसक्ति हो जाएगी. They don't want any relationships. They are frustrated with the relations of the world. So they want no relationships. They want to merge in Brahman. Stop all the relations. And the person's mind is concentrated on one process, the worship of the Lord, not on jnana or karma. That is ekamanasa. This is called as nishkama, animitta, animitta bhagavati. That is animitta bhakti, and which is animitta devotion to the Lord, in which senses, actions of the sense devatas, who reveals the objects of the senses, such as sound. So when we use the senses in the service of the Lord, that is called as sadhana bhakti. So say such a sound, gunalinganam devanam. So it will come in the future chapters. To do any action, just like if we want to see the world, there are 3 things required: gross senses, subtle senses, and the sense devatas. So gross eye is called as netra. Subtle eye is called as chakshu. And there is a sense, the eye devata for the eyes also, dig devatas. They are the devatas for the eyes. So here it is described, gunalinganam devanam. So the devata of the object यहाँ पे sound का बताया, So if you want to hear something, so the sense devata also has to sanction. Then only we can hear. Otherwise, it is not possible. So the Devata, he reveals the objects of the senses. यहाँ पे sound का example दिया है for revealing the Lord, so that the ears can hear something about the Lord. So all the Devatas, they also help to practice sadhana bhakti. So that is what is described here. Okay, there are some details. I will not describe everything. यहाँ पे after few lines.
We demigod worship we should not do, but we can take help by praying to demigods to serve Lord.
That is there. Only for service of the Lord, we can pray to anyone. No problem in that. But not for any material benefits.
For anybody.
We can pray to Devatas to give us devotion, not for material benefits.
Okay.
If we are going to Devata for material things, then our bhakti gets contaminated. We start practicing mixed devotion. So if you are going to Devatas for material things, if you want material things, go to Krishna only. Don't go to Devatas for material things. But if you go to some temple, Devata temple, you can pray for devotion. They'll give devotion. They are also great devotees of the Lord.
So here, Devanam Gunalinga means Devanam is talking about this sense devata.
Sense Devatas, yes.
Okay. Through both the gross and subtle senses and the sense devatas, we are worshipping the Lord.
Yeah, because for the actions of the senses, sense Devatas have to give sanction. If they don't give sanction, then the senses will not work.
So it is not that what we need to worship, that is a process separately.
We don't have to worship. They are bound to give. That is their service. That is their job. The sense Devatas, they will definitely work, and they act according to the karma of the person. If the person has a karma of seeing, they are sanctioning. So we should not be concerned about worshipping the Devatas. We are concerned about worshipping the Lord, worshipping Krishna. So, and the Devatas, they assist in that also. See, so the next line says, the word Sattve cannot mean the Devatas like Brahma or Shiva, since the verse speaks of Bhagavati Bhakti, devotion exclusively to Bhagavan. Sattva evaik manaso. So the sadhana bhakti should not be for the Devatas. It is for the Lord. Or Sattve can also be referred to devotees who are called as Sat. Satam prasangam amviri samvido. Sat means devotees. One should be thinking only, I should be a devotee. That is the thought process of a devotee. I want to become a devotee. That is also Sattvaiko Manasam. There are many various meanings Chakravarti Thakur is giving. Sattva means the Lord also, Sattva means the Devatas also, Sattvaiko Manasa means the devotee thinks I want to become a devotee. And then he writes, Bhakti is not the action of the senses which act on their own, but action of the senses according to the mantra given by Guru. That means my senses, they want to do so many things, but I don't act according to the direction of the senses. My eyes may want to see all the other things, but I will only see what my Guru says. My Guru is telling, take darshan of the deities, serve the devotees. I will only see that. So that is sadhana bhakti. It is not according to what my senses say, but what my Guru says. That is anushravika karmana. My karma is for anushravik. Jo Guru bol rahe hain वैसे ही. And in fact, Chakravarti Thakur says, all the senses, how can we engage all the senses in service of the Lord? How can we engage anus and genitals in service of the Lord? Anus is used to excrete all the waste. So he quotes a verse here. Utsargan malmutradish chitta swasthyam yato bhavet atah payu upasthascha tadar aradhana sadhanam. So ayu and upastha means the anus and genitals, they are also the senses engaged in service of the Lord, because If one day somebody gets a constipation, chanting kaise hoga अच्छे से? So they also assist in serving the Lord, because the mind, when there is proper excretion, mind remains healthy, so that we can focus on the bhajan also properly. So all the senses are engaged in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So he says, thus even these organs, by functioning in relation to bhakti, are to be considered part of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So that is how he is taking this. And the word tu, इसमें tu भी आया ना word. कहाँ पे आया tu? हाँ, वृत्ति स्वाभाविकी tu. तो अपने आचार्य एक तू को भी पकड़ के बड़ा कमेंट्री देते हैं. Tu indicates tu. Anybody remembers anywhere else this tu is described? First canto में एक अच्छा. What is the paribhasha sutra of Bhagavatam? Krishnastu. वहां पे भी है तू. But Krishnastu Bhagavan स्वयं. So here the word tu, causing differentiation, indirectly indicates sadhya bhakti in the form of bhava bhakti or raganugam type. That means this bhakti, which is described as sadhana bhakti, it can also be called as sadhya bhakti or bhava bhakti of raganuga. So Vaidhi sadhana is two types. Now sadhana bhakti के दो प्रकार कौन से? Vaidhi sadhana,
Vaidhi sadhana,
raganuga sadhana. So he says this type of sadhana bhakti can be describing Vaidhi sadhana bhakti also and raganuga sadhana bhakti also. So both types of sadhana bhakti are described here. So Kapil Dev is telling you can perform these two types of bhakti, sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi भी हो जाएगा, raganuga भी होगा.
What is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti?
What is raganuga sadhana bhakti?
spontaneous.
Then it's Raganuga Bhakti. No, why should we tell it's Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti?
We are using our senses, no? That's why.
हाँ तो raganuga वही है ना.
So Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti same as Raganuga.
हाँ, भाव भक्ति में रागानुगा नहीं रहता है. भाव भक्ति में कौन सा भक्ति रहता है? Raga can be evoked by sadhana bhakti also and raganuga bhakti also. Bhava can be evoked by Vaidhi sadhana bhakti also and raganuga bhakti also. That means by practicing raganuga sadhana bhakti, the bhav which is generated, that takes one to Goloka. समझ रहे हैं? साधन भक्ति it has two parts. भी लगता है एनोडी पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Vaidhi sadhan and raganuga sadhan. Both are capable of generating bhava. Okay. Either you practice Vaidhi sadhan or raganuga sadhan. By raganuga sadhan bhakti, the bhav which is generated, that takes one to Goloka. The bhav which is generated by Vaidhi sadhana bhakti takes one to Vaikuntha. Okay, so that is the difference between the two bhav. Bhav में भी रागानुग से भी भाव उत्पन्न होता है, वैधि से भी भाव उत्पन्न होता है. But there the difference is in the rasa, the level of condensed emotions. Little bit clear? Any other doubts?
We are Sadhana Bhakti.
कहाँ जाएंगे हम गोलोक जाएंगे कि वैकुंठ जाएंगे? What is raganuga bhakti?
Spontaneous love.
Who does? Acha, what is ragatmika and raganuga?
Spontaneous love.
Is Raga.
Following ragatmikas is raganuga. So ragatmika means the Brajvasis are the ragatmika bhaktas. Okay. So this is a very, very burning question. Many devotees, disciples have left ISKCON because of this one thing. प्रभुपाद ने तो साधन भक्ति बोला है, वैदिक साधन भक्ति बोला है. वैदिक साधन भक्ति से तो वैकुंठ जाएंगे, गोलोक कौन जाएगा फिर? Prabhupada is not given us the highest, it seems. So the problem is we are not understanding Raganuga means following Ragatmika. Ragatmika means the Brajvasis. So is Prabhupada the Brajvasi?
Yes.
So what are we doing?
Following.
We're following Raganuga.
Yeah, we are doing Raganuga. But the way to Raganuga is the Vedi sadhana bhakti. So we should be very, very clear that Srila Prabhupada is a pure Brajvasi of Vrindavan, and we are following what Srila Prabhupada says. I'll tell you one very, very important conversation which one devotee he himself asked Prabhupada. Because in the beginning days of ISKCON, there was one very, very great scholar in our ISKCON. His name was. He was very expert in Sanskrit. He had read all the scriptures. But then he started associating with the Radhakund Babajis. And he came back one day and he told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, please give me your blessings so that I can find another guru. It seems you are not giving us the highest. And he started blaspheming even Saraswati Thakur. Because Radhakund Babaji is told, oh, Saraswati Thakur, he didn't take sannyas also properly. He took sannyas on his own. Nobody gave him sannyas. So what type of disciple he is making? So he was telling all these things, and Prabhupada, his lips started trembling in anger. And somehow this disciple left. And then after this, Prabhupada said, I gave him blessings to go to hell. So, this is a case which has happened in ISKCON. And this devotee, he ultimately left Radhakund also. He went back to his previous ways of working. So one of the devotees, he went to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I have a question. Is it that we have to follow something else to achieve the highest goal apart from your teachings? Or just by following your instructions, we'll achieve the highest? Prabhupada said, yes, that is the proper way. Just follow whatever I am saying, and everything will be revealed in due course of time.
Correct.
So we should not have doubt in the words of Prabhupada. Prabhupada has not given us the highest, because this one thing has taken many devotees out of ISKCON. When we start going to the details of the words and not understanding the level of Prabhupada, that he is a Brajvasi, he can give, and he is telling that you follow this. So we just follow. And Prabhupada said, in due course of time, things will be revealed. So that is how we are also following Raganuga. But our way to Raganuga is Vaidhi sadhana. Okay.
Last question. It means if I continue to follow sincerely Vaidhi Bhakti, one fine day I may able to do Raganuga.
Yes. There are two activities of a Bhav Bhakta. How to understand who is a Bhav Bhakta? Who is a Raganuga Bhakta? Bhav Bhakta. How to understand? There are 9 symptoms of a Bhav Bhakta. When Shanti Rabhyata Kalatvam Virakti Mana Shunyata Ashabandha Samutkantha Namagane Sadaruchi Asakti Sadgunakhyane Priti Sadavasiti Sthale. These are the 9 symptoms of Bhav Bhakta which are measurable. If you find these 9 things in any devotee, you can safely say he is at the level of Bhav.
Tell in English project.
Perseverance, Shanti, Avyartha Kalatvam, not wasting any time. Virakti, completely detached. Mana Shunyata, no desire for respect. Ashabandh, always hopeful. Samutkantha, eagerness to attain Krishna. Namagane Sadaruchi, always interested in chanting. Asaktis Tadguna Akhyane, absorbed in glorifying the Lord. Pritis Tadvasati Sthale, absorbed in attached to going to the holy places. So these are the measurable qualities of a Bhav Bhakta. But many times, Bhav Bhakta, they don't reveal themselves as Bhav Bhakta. There are two types of activities. सेवा साधक रूपेण सिद्ध रूपेण छात्र ही तद भाव लिप्सुना कार्य ब्रजलोकानुसारतः। भाव भक्ता के दो प्रकार के कार्य होते हैं, दो रूप होते हैं, सेवा साधक रूप एंड सिद्ध रूप. In the external world, he continues to behave as seva sadhak rupa. He will get up in the morning, he will do his chanting, he will do his seva, he will sit in the Bhagavatam class also. He will not say, अभी तो मेरा मन में तो निरंतर चल रहा है, what is the need? सेवा साधक he will continue to do. संख्या पूर्वक नाम गान नटिभि काला वसानी कृतौ. Shad Goswamis externally they were sadhak rupa, internally Rupa Manjari, Lavanga Manjari, Siddha Rupa. So we cannot judge anyone कि ये भी साधन साध्य हो गया, ये भाव भक्ति ये रागानुगा कर रहा है, ये it is not our job to understand. We have to just follow the words of Srila Prabhupada, and in due course of time, Krishna willing, he will reveal what we are supposed to meditate on. Srila Prabhupada writes, and he speaks in one of the lectures, sadhan bhakti is apprenticeship. तो apprenticeship थोड़ा ना जीवन भर होगा. So ultimately we have to come to Raganuga. Vaidhi sadhan is a apprenticeship. उससे रागानुगा पे ही आना है. But we cannot artificially say अब तो मैं रागानुगा हो गया हूँ. So it is a very risky thing, because people they start behaving as sahajiyas and they say I am beyond the rules now. Prabhupada gave Babaji initiation only to one person in ISKCON. He was really pushing. मेरे को बाबा जी दीक्षा दो, मैं 24 घंटा यहाँ पे जप ही करूंगा राधा कुंड पे. Prabhupada said no, not possible in this state. He pushed and then Prabhupada gave him, and he stayed only for 6 months and then he left. So what Prabhupada is giving is according to our condition, our status. Just follow it, and due course of time, things will reveal.
We should introspect where we are standing.
Yeah. So that is there. But introspection, what type of introspection? मेरा कौन सा सिद्ध रूप होगा? वो type of introspection नहीं है. Our introspection is, am I doing my seva properly? Am I doing my chanting properly? Am I pleasing Guru? Am I pleasing authorities? Are my anarthas decreasing? So that type of introspection is needed.
Okay.
Not the introspection of कौन सा रूप है मेरा, सिद्ध रूप कौन सा होगा, उधर कृष्ण की बांसुरी, कौन सी बांसुरी बजाते होंगे कृष्णा, वो सब नहीं है अपना काम. Yes.
Prabhuji, Siddha Rupa gets ready once one reaches Bhava level. Is Prabhuji.
It is not, I'm not sure. Yeah. So that is what is described. Of course, unless you get purified, there is no question of Siddha Rup. Till the time anarthas are there, question ही नहीं है सिद्ध रूप का. तो वो फिर भाव किधर, अभी निष्ठा आसक्ति और उसमें कहाँ सिद्ध रूप. भाव में जाके वो बोल रहे हैं कि दो प्रकार है, सेवा साधक एंड सिद्ध रूप.
This another sister that
So introspection is
cannot start to
will die of lust, seeing all the damsels. महाराज बोलते हैं, मतलब महाराज telling one time कि यहाँ के जो सबसे सुंदर है वो स्वर्ग इनके सामने कुछ भी नहीं है. और मतलब ये वाले स्वर्ग के सामने, स्वर्ग themselves of स्वर्ग they are insignificant as compared to Vaikuntha is insignificant as compared to Goloka. So who are we? हमारा तो इधर ही हाल बुरा है, मतलब sorry to say. So that is a sadhaka bhakta.
they need to get
So
purified.
what is the need of thinking, in that territory also?
we can introspect about our sadhana.
हाँ.
कि मेरा साधना ठीक हो रहा है कि नहीं,
बस.
सेवा ठीक हो रहा है कि नहीं. मंगल
That is our introspection. मंगलारती में कितना माला मैंने जग के किया है. Hare Krishna. So Chakravarti Thakur continues. The bhakti with natural functioning, swabhaviki vritti of the senses, bhakti of the senses. That means sadhana bhakti is better than siddhe gariyasi. It is better than liberation. The spontaneous action of the senses is superior to liberation. And then he says, spontaneous action is of two types. One can develop natural. Hmm.
One can develop natural action.
Yeah, one can develop natural action of the senses by ascending through the stages of nishtha, ruchi, asakti, and finally pure bhakti, bhav. That is one way of raganuga. And it may also develop the similar to spontaneous attraction of the senses in material world. One may also develop spontaneous action of the senses without awareness of the dictates of the scripture, that is raganuga. एक तो वैधि से पहुंच सकते हैं, एक रागानुगा से पहुंच सकते हैं भाव पे. So Vaidhi has sadhana bhakti has two parts, Vaidhi and Raganuga. So you can reach bhava by Vaidhi also and Raganuga also. That's what he is describing. In which the senses acts according to the scriptures previous to or after taking instructions from Guru. So in the sadhana, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti we act because Guru ka instruction hai scriptures mein diya hai. But in Raganuga sadhana bhakti, what happens? The impressions are arising from the mercy of the great devotees. We may see some people, they don't practice sadhana bhakti, but they may reach to Raganuga. That means they have received mercy in the past. You can become Raga, pure devotee by Kripa Siddha and Sadhana Siddha. So if somebody has not done sadhana, but still he is developing Raganuga, that means Kripa hai. So that is what is described here. The bhava developed from Vaidhi Bhakti has excellence of quantity. Examples are given in many verses. The second type of spontaneity generated from Raganuga has excellence of the type at the stage of sadhan. That means the Raganuga sadhan, Raganuga bhav and sadhan bhakti wala bhav, Vaidhi sadhan bhakti wala bhav, they are different. Thoda sa antar hai usme. So that is what is described here. Then he says, compared to two spontaneous types of bhakti, the Vaidhi sadhan is inferior. Okay. The Raganuga bhakti arising from Vaidhi sadhan is inferior in type. So that is what is described here. So these are the Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries. So in this verse, I will see how this verse is corresponding to the Anya Bhilashita Bhakti verse. So in this verse is Devanam. Devanam is corresponding to Shilanam. Anushilanam, Krishnanushilanam. Gunalinganam, that means it is Anukulyena. It is favorable attitude. Anushravika. Anushravika means, what is the meaning of Anushravika here?
As per the instructions.
As per the instructions. So that is corresponding to Anu. In Anya Vilash, Anushilanam. That Anu. Anu means following the previous acharyas. Sattva evaik manaso. Sattva evaik manaso is corresponding to any guesses?
Jnana karmadi anavritam.
Jnana karmadi anavritam. Without any distractions. No other purpose. And animitta bhagavati bhakti. Animitta means corresponding to which word in Animitta. That means Anya Bhilashita Shunya Bhakti. Animitta और कोई निमित्त नहीं है. There is no other reason for performing bhakti than to please Krishna. This bhakti is siddhe gariyasi, that is bhakti uttama, that is uttama bhakti. Okay, so now we'll see the purport of Prabhupada, what Prabhupada tells, and how he is explaining this.
So going to the, maybe we'll just take little more. Under the Vishnu Chakra Thakur's last, compared to two spontaneous types of bhakti,
Hmm.
unspontaneous bhakti is why this
Which time? Acha, unspontaneous.
inferior is inferior
Quantity and type. Quantity and type.
Quantity and type.
Yeah.
So compared to the two spontaneous types, that means
Raganuga sadhan,
and the Vaidhi
Vaidhi sadhan and Raganuga, sorry, Vaidhi bhav and Raganugiya bhav.
Hmm.
So sadhan bhakti is two types, Vaidhi sadhan and Raganuga sadhan. So from the Raganuga sadhan bhakti you also generate bhav, and from Vaidhi sadhan bhakti you also generate a bhav. So रागानुगीय साधन से भाव है वो हायर है, वैधि साधन का जो भाव है that is lower in quantity. That is what is described here.
In the description of the same in the previous paragraph, so the two spontaneous being described, isn't it? One is Nishta, Ruchi, finally Asakti by constant practice of engagement in pure bhakti as directed by Guru, following the direction of both Guru and scriptures are also here.
Correct. That is Vaidhi sadhan.
That is Vaidhi sadhan bhakti.
Yes.
And the second spontaneous is talking about the Kripa Siddha.
Kripa.
So that means Kripa Siddha is superior?
No. The same raga, same bhava can be generated by Kripa Siddhi also. See this, ये जो Raganuga is there, Raganuga bhakti can generate a bhav.
Correct.
And sadhan bhakti, Vaidhi sadhan bhakti can generate a bhav. This bhav can be generated by surpassing all this Vaidhi process just by Kripa.
Correct.
So that is another description. एक तो कृपा सिद्धि है, एक साधन सिद्धि है. साधन सिद्धि में दो प्रकार हैं, that is वैधि साधन and रागानुगीय साधन. And then कृपा सिद्धि में directly you can reach to bhava bhakti. So all this is described here, just like there are branches.
Multiple.
Yeah.
So in the Raganuga bhakti which leads to bhava.
Yes.
So where is the starting point? Following the Ragatmikas, what is it?
Raganuga leading to bhava. Yes, they don't even practice sadhan, the layers of sadhana bhakti. Then after Raganuga bhakti, they follow the mood of the Brajvasis. They follow Ragatmikas. They are already Brajvasis, na? So we are following Goswamis. So ultimately, sorry.
Even if you're following, they consider Raganugas.
Raganuga means following the Ragatmikas. So we are following Srila Prabhupada, and who is following the Shadu Goswamis. So ultimately speaking, if we continue to follow our Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, we will be ultimately practicing Raganugiya only. It is not about Vaidhi Sadhan se hum log Vaidhi wala bhav milega. No, because we are practicing Srila Prabhupada and the Shadu Goswamis who are Brajavasis, who are Manjaris. So ultimately we will be going to Goloka. We are not going on the path of Vaikuntha. So that is the understanding given by the Acharyas. So that should be very clear.
This is the point I was coming to, what to explain. Because ultimately we are following Srila Prabhupada, so automatically our path is the Ragatmika.
Yes. Ultimately we will, by following Vaidhi Sadhan, we will practice Raganuga only one day. We will not continue to practice Vaidhi and will not reach Vaidhi Bhava. Our position is we will practice Vaidhi. We are practicing now Vaidhi, but that will ultimately take us to Raganugiya Sadhan. And then Raganugiya Bhava, not Vaidhi Sadhana Bhava. So NOD में ना वो these are the details which should be, because हम लोग क्या है भक्ति शास्त्र में कैसे पढ़ते हैं NOD हम लोग तो कैसे कोई एग्जाम में क्या आने वाला है उतना ही मतलब personally speaking, I also didn't study much when I did Bhakti Shastri. अपना क्या है, वो क्वेश्चन आंसर रहता है, रट लो, आंसर दे दो, हो गया खत्म, अपना वो NOD done. But when you go into details, then you will see an ocean there. Oh, Jiva Goswami has written another commentary on NOD that is called as Durgam Sangavani Tika. वो NOD के ऊपर भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु के ऊपर कमेंट्री है. And Bhanu Maharaj has written, translated all that. So if we actually want to understand NOD, it is like वो CC के लेवल वाला लिटरेचर है. हम लोग भक्ति शास्त्र में पढ़ लेते हैं वो, बट वो CC के लेवल का लिटरेचर है. And that's the mercy of Prabhupada that he has given the highest. He wanted to give that in the beginning only. भाई ये बाकियों को क्या समझेगा अभी भाव क्या है और ये कब पहुंचेंगे, how to give them the highest. So Prabhupada has just paraphrased everything and brought down to a very simple level. जो nectar of devotion है वो एकदम simplest edition of nectar of भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु है. उसमें डिटेल्स बहुत कम दिए हैं, बिकॉज वो किसके लिए दिए हैं वो. When did Prabhupada write NOD? It was like in the beginning. वो 2-3 साल के डिवोटी चैंटिंग कर रहे हैं, उनको क्या अभी बताएंगे NOD क्या है. तो प्रभुपाद ने बहुत ही लिमिटेड छोटा सा करके दिया है, भाई इतना तो समझ लो. उसमें ही हमारा हाल खराब होता है. और रागानुगा और रागात्मिका क्या है, उसमें ही कंफ्यूजन रहता है. सो द डिटेल्स आर अनलिमिटेड. जस्ट द फर्स्ट वो जो 6 थिंग्स ऑफ डिवोशनल सर्विस है ना, उसमें ही बहुत अनलिमिटेड डिटेल्स हैं. That Andabhilashita Bhakti, Jiva Goswami writes 10-12 pages of commentary on that. उसके पहले वो जो कैसे शुरू होता है, उसमें अखिल रसामृत मूर्ति प्रश्रम सिद्ध रुद्ध तारका पाली ऐसा शुरू होता है ना. आखिर इस श्लोक पे 15 पेज का कमेंट्री है जीव गोस्वामी का, एक एक श्लोक पे अखिल रस अमृत मूर्ति. मतलब इट इज लाइक पूरा ओशन है वो. तो प्रभुपाद ने तो ज्यादा उसमें एम्फसाइज नहीं किए. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी डोंट गो इनटू द डीप डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट. तो NOD पढ़ना है तो उसके लिए 1 साल लग जाएगा, 1 साल भी कम पड़ेगा उसके लिए. So anyways,
When possible, out of the Bhakti Vaibhav, can you just this still not sink into my listening? Sometimes one of the weekdays or whenever you have time, Zoom. So just going to the details of.
आपको मैं बलराम शक्ति प्रभु का लिंक देता हूँ. I'll put on the group. Yes, वो पूरा डिटेल में 1 साल तक उन्होंने अच्छे से चर्न करके सबको पढ़ाया है. He takes for all the counts. He has taken entire nectar devotion for all the congregation counselors of Temple Radha Temple. In that he has described in detail everything. Of course, we can take sometimes when time permits.
At least 2 hours.
Yeah, we can
Not
take
finished, but
that.
at least 4 hour glimpses we can have.
We'll do sometimes. Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so Prabhupada, going to the purport of Prabhupada, I think आज 1 श्लोक में ही निकल जाए. Anyways, this is an important. So ये साधन भक्ति का जो श्लोक है, so I knew it will take time. So I'm not also rushing.
Yes.
So Prabhupada begins about the senses. Senses are always engaged in some occupation, the natural inclination of the senses to work. So basically, after some lines, Prabhupada writes, the mind is actually the leader of the senses. Therefore, it's called as sattva. Similarly, the leaders of the demigods who are engaged in activities of this material world is the supreme personality of Godhead. Leader of Devta is the supreme Lord. So Prabhupada writes, Devanam Karmanam. So there he is writing senses. They are led by the mind. So in the second paragraph, Prabhupada writes, senses led by the mind act under the influence of the demigods. That is Devanam Karmanam. So Prabhupada, if you want to really, Prabhupada puts everything in his purport, but कौन सा श्लोक का किधर डाल रहे हैं वो थोड़ा सा सोच के देखना पड़ता है. Why Prabhupada is writing this statement? So here Prabhupada is explaining Devanam Karmanam. सेंसेस,
कहाँ
सेकेंड पैराग्राफ का थर्ड लाइन, अभी इसमें थर्ड लाइन दिख रहा है, मतलब जो भी है, सेंसेस लेड बाय द माइंड
हाँ,
act under the influence of the devtas, that is devanam karmanam. Karmanam, senses act under the control of the devtas only.
yes.
And then gunalinganam, gunalingana means, Prabhupada is writing here, when the senses, when the service is ultimately aimed at the Supreme Lord, the senses are in their natural position, that is gunalinga. गुण क्या है सेंसेस का? When they are serving the Lord. And then after a few lines in the next purport, next paragraph, Prabhupada, then Prabhupada explains about the Rishikesh and all that in that purport, that paragraph. Then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada is explaining Animitta Bhagavati Bhakti. वो क्या होता है अनिमित्ता भक्ति भगवती? He's explaining. Kapila Dev said, when the senses without desire for material profit or other selfish motives are engaged in service, one is situated in devotional service. That is Animitta Bhagavati Bhakti. क्या होगा उससे? सिद्धे करियसी. That spirit of service is far better than siddhi. Siddhe gariyasi. So Prabhupada is paraphrasing that. And then after few lines, Prabhupada writes about animitta. When the senses are engaged either in the material activities of sense gratification or in the activities of the Vedic injunctions, there is some motive. But when the senses are engaged in service of the Lord without motive, that is called as animitta bhakti. And that is the natural inclination of the mind. That is called as, can anyone tell me? Which verse describes this? Natural inclination. कौन सा word है? थोड़ा सोचिए. स्वाभाविकी तू या. Yes, Prabhupada is paraphrasing that here, describing स्वाभाविकी है वो. स्वाभाविक वृत्ति of the mind is serving the Lord. Okay, so that is what he describes in this. Now, how is liberation achieved by the process of bhakti? Liberation मिलता कैसे? यहाँ पे तो बोल दिए गुणलिंगा नाम सिद्धे गरियसी. Actually होता कैसे? That he describes in the next verse. Only 2 lines are there. Jarayati ashu yakosham.
यतया शुक्लाकुशं निर्गीनं न मनो यथा
Dissolves the subtle body of the living entity without separate effort. Just as the fire in the stomach digests all that we eat.
Yes. Ya bhakti. Ya means that bhakti. Jarayati ashu ya. या जो है ये जो भक्ति ऊपर बताया ना उससे क्या होगा? जरयति, जला देती है. किसको जलाती है? कोश. कोश मीन्स the subtle body is called as kosh. That bhakti destroys the subtle body just like yatha. Yatha means jaise nigirnam anala. Just like the digestive fire consumes the food. Nigirna. Nigirna means things which are eaten. So that is what is described here. So bhakti destroys. One of the quality of bhakti is, can anyone tell me, of the 6 qualities of bhakti, primary, secondary qualities, NOD वाला, कौन सा वाले में ये बताया गया है कि भक्ति destroys all the karma? Yeshagni, yes. There, Jiva Goswami quotes another verse from 11th canto. Krishna tells to Uddhav, Yathagni sut samidharchi karoti edhamsi bhasmathat tatha mad vishaya bhakti uddhavai namshi kritsnashah. Kritsna. What is the meaning of kritsna?
All activities.
Complete, all, you know. किसी को याद है कोई वर्ड जिस वर्सेस में कृत्स्न है?
वो बहुत जगह है।
हाँ, तो एक तो बताइए।
नहीं यार, ठीक वो अच्छा नहीं है।
इतने बार सुना है कि वो जी क्या बताएं अभी।
बहुत जगह है, बहुत जगह है।
कृत्स्न मुझे भी एक्चुअली याद नहीं। वो जगह तो मैंने
कर्म कृष्ण ऐसा
हाँ हाँ हाँ
सर्व कर्म कृष्ण ऐसा कुछ पहले याद हमारी।
हाँ, एक भगवत गीता में है, उसमें सर्च करिए तो कृत्स्न बहुत जगह मिलेगा आपको। ये एक तो खोज के रहेंगे हम लोग। कृत्स्न KRTSNA कृत्स्न। हाँ देखिए 4.18 में है संयुक्ता कृत्स्न कर्म कृत। ही इज engaged in all sorts of activities। और अच्छा है कृत्स्न जो कॉमन वाला है।
The word Krishna means activities.
नो कृत्स्न मीन्स कंप्लीट। ठीक है एनीवेज अभी ज्यादा नहीं उसमें बोल रहे हैं। सो दिस वर्स इज यथा अग्नि सुसमिद्ध अर्ची, जस्ट लाइक अग्नि डिस्ट्रॉयज द फायरवुड कंप्लीटली, nothing remains. Similarly, mad vishaya bhakti, my bhakti destroys the subtle body completely. So here bhakti is compared to digestive fire because of three reasons. What are the reasons? What are the qualities of digestive fire? Three things. Digestive fire is very specific, doesn't destroy the nutrients, just destroys the waste materials, doesn't destroy the nutrients. Similarly, bhakti destroys all the anarthas and nourishes all the good qualities. So that is one first quality. It activates the spiritual senses and destroys all the material impressions. That's why bhakti is compared to digestive fire. The problem is jnana and yoga destroys the subtle body but doesn't nourish the spiritual body, doesn't generate the spiritual senses, activate nahi karte. Bhakti will not be activated. The subtle body gets destroyed by jnana and yoga also, usme problem nahi hai, but it will not activate the spiritual senses. As Dhruv Maharaj tells the first prayer, anyone remembers what he says? Translation, पहला श्लोक क्या बोलते हैं भगवान प्रकट हुए तो बोलते हैं, ओ माय लॉर्ड, यू हैव एनलाइवेंड ऑल माय सेंसेस, योऽन्त प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां संजीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधर स्वधाम्ना। You have entered all my senses, you have enlivened them. So bhakti enlivens the spiritual senses. Second characteristic of digestive fire is it takes time to digest. ऐसा नहीं कि अभी खाया और नेक्स्ट रेडी 5 मिनट में, it takes 6 hours. Similarly, bhakti takes time to purify. We should be patient with ourselves. We should not expect miracles overnight by the process of bhakti. अभी तक लस्ट नहीं गया, anger, greed कब जाएगा? Takes time. The destruction of the subtle body and the tendencies of enjoyment takes time. In that verse, Rupa Goswami quotes a verse from क्लेशाग्नि में एक श्लोक बोलते हैं ना, पद्म पुराण में। पद्म पुराण का एक श्लोक है, all the various types of things get destroyed, अप्रारब्ध फलम पापम कूटम बीजम फलोन्मुखम। एक उसका क्या वर्ड आता है? क्रमेणैव प्रलीयेत, वो क्रम से नष्ट होता है, it doesn't happen instantly. So that is another quality of digestive fire, takes time to digest. And third quality of digestive fire is, if the digestive fire is good, one does not have to do anything extra to digest the food. थोड़ा उछल कूद करना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा वॉकिंग करके आते हैं, थोड़ा और कुछ चूर्ण भी खाना पड़ेगा, उससे जरूरत नहीं है। If the fire is good, nothing else to be done. So when the bhakti is one, anything else to get purified. एंगर मैनेजमेंट का कोर्स भी करके आते हैं लगता है, थोड़ा सा एंगर कम नहीं हो रहा है। भक्ति तो कर रहे हैं बट एंगर मैनेजमेंट भी करना पड़ेगा लग रहा है। नो, भक्ति विल डू एवरीथिंग।
But sometimes
It's okay, we can do. No problem in learning the tricks, learning the techniques, but they are superficial treatments.
Today's instance only, how another comes. You bike, I was coming, another devotee is coming. The God allowed him and they didn't allow me. So immediately my mood is off. I don't, I know it is.
इसको कैसे allow कर दिया?
कोई मेरा अनुभव क्या है, जितना हमारा चैटिंग अक्सर नहीं होता है।
अरे बाप रे।
Everywhere something happens against our mood. That is my observation.
See, all
जब भी अपना चैटिंग अच्छा होता है,
Not people are.
everything falls in place.
By that time it comes to my feeling.
we tell in our journey of self discovery, वो गीता का कोर्स बोलते हैं ना, उसमें बोलते हैं एक टेम्पररी सोल्यूशन होता है, एक परमानेंट सोल्यूशन होता है. So all these things, anger management, stress management और time management और जो भी management का कोर्स कर लीजिए, they are temporary solutions because they just give temporary relief. We are not dealing with the root problem. The root problem is when the person is in the lower modes, we cannot come to a next level of action. तो उसके लिए सत्वगुण लाना पड़ेगा. सत्वगुण में फिर ट्रांसेंडेंस. So we don't work at the level of sattva. We want to go to the transcendental level. So no problem in taking all the help from the material world, but please, we should never have this understanding. This is the thing. Because all the motivational speakers, when they speak, they impress people. But that impression doesn't last.
not with the materialistic, like devotees we can take influence.
We can take from anywhere, no problem. Taking good things from the world is not a problem. But if we put faith that this will only work and bhakti तो additional हो तो प्रेम मिलेगा उससे. ये सब चीजों के लिए तो ये तो करना ही है. No problem. You can learn tricks of the trade from the world. But if we are thinking, oh, this will help me in everything, then we are, bringing our faith down. So that's where we should be very careful when we hear about all the life skills seminars and all the people who are giving talks on psychology and relationships and devotees have gone out of devotional service by following all these things. Because when people are really upset with their life and when somebody comes and gives them some material benefit, then they think ये तो काम कर रहा है. भक्ति से तो आज तक कुछ नहीं हुआ मेरा. So that's how it is very, very important to understand how much faith to be put on these things.
So rather continue doing bhakti and what eventually all these things.
No, we should learn the tricks of the trade, no problem in that. We can learn from them.
But as you say,
But we should be we should be very careful. That's why in our temple, Radhanath Swami Maharaj never allowed any other outside books to be focused on. Apart from 1 or 2, non-violent communication, Maharaj, he's told, okay, we can read this. That is good. They have written something good. But there are some people who write about psychology and how to develop public relations and how to maintain relationships, how to maintain peace of mind, and they keep their philosophy also, and then devotees, they get deviated. That's where the problem lies. Unless we are mature enough to handle, because वो श्लोक है ना, चाणक्य पंडित बोलते हैं, we can take gold from the filth also. क्या हो? कांचनम ग्राह्यम अमेध्या कांचनम ग्राह्यम. शंकराचार्य चाणक्य बोलते हैं, we can take gold from filthy place also, but we should be able to understand what is gold. Otherwise we'll land up with filth only. वो problem है, in the course of gathering gold, we'll gather filth, which is lots in the outside world. So if we are not sure, better don't venture into that field. सो डिवोटीज जो सीनियर हैं, जो मैच्योर हैं, वो थोड़ा सा निकाल के बता रहे हैं, उसमें संतुष्ट हो जाइए. अदरवाइज ऑल दोज अदर थिंग्स लाइक प्राणिक हीलिंग, ये जो मतलब ये जो एक्स्ट्रा थिंग्स है ना, they come with lots of baggage. They may have some little benefit, lots of another things are attached. Lots of philosophical things, their philosophy comes in. People get deviated. So we have seen a lot. कोई आके बताना शुरू करते हैं और सब लोग बाकी चैंटिंग के टाइम में वही प्राणिक हीलिंग ही चल रहा है, So all these things have happened. So we have to be really careful. So in devotional service, one does not need to do anything extra to get purified. The faith should not be diluted कि और कुछ भी करना पड़ेगा लगता है शुद्ध होने के लिए. भक्ति से नहीं हो रहा है पूरा. Bhakti is sufficient to get purified. The Prabhupada writes in the purport, Bhakti is in a higher position than Mukti because a person's endeavor to get liberation from the material engagement is automatically served in devotional service. Mukti hitvanatha rupam swarupena vyavasthiti. That is the definition of Mukti. Prabhupada quotes Bilv Mangal Thakur. He says, Bhaktistvai sthirtara bhagavan yadisya daiven na phalati divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevyate sman dharmartha kamagataya samaya pratiksha. He says, Bhakti swayam sthirtara. After I have achieved sthira, the steady devotion unto the Supreme Lord, daivena na phalati divya. I am Divya Kishore Murti is manifesting, spontaneously in my heart. And what is the result of that? Mukti Swayam Mukulita Anjali Sevyate. Mukti Devi is coming and standing in front with folded hands, ready to serve. What to speak of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they are not in question also. So that is Prabhupada translating there, paraphrasing. For a devotee, liberation is not a problem at all. Liberation takes place without separate endeavors. उसके लिए मेहनत करना ही नहीं पड़ता है, वो अपने आप आ जाती है. मुक्ति स्वयं मुकुलितांजलि सेव्यते. There is another thing which I have discussed earlier also, told. Rup Goswami लिखते हैं पद्यावली का एक. One devotee is doing his bhajan and is chanting and he realizes somebody has come. He opens his eyes, he sees a lady standing. He says, who are you? का त्वम? So she says, Mukti upagatasmi bhavati. Mukti Mataji आई हैं. So Mukti upagatasmi bhavati. So devotees ask, Kasmat akasmat here? How come suddenly you have come? I didn't call. So Mukti says, Twam Krishna Dev Smarane Bhavto Dasi Padam Prapita. आप कृष्ण भक्ति कर रहे हैं, आपकी दासी हो गई मैं. तो डिवोटी बोलते हैं, दूरे तिष्ठ मनाग नागसी. ओ abominable one, stay away. डिवोटी बोलती, मुक्ति बोलते, हद हो गई. I came to serve you and you are giving me गाली. कथम कुर्याद अनार्यम मयि, what wrong I have done? So devotee says, Tvad gandhan nij naam chandan rasalepasya lopo bhavet. Just by your fragrance, my taste for bhakti will go away, stay away. So that is a devotee. So bhakti is far better than mukti or impersonal position. Impersonalists undergo severe penances and austerities to attain mukti, but bhakta, simply by engaging in bhakti, he immediately develops control over the tongue by engaging in chanting. Okay. So that is how bhakti purifies. So Kapil Dev is telling that you may be thinking that I am telling you so many things, but not what you wanted, right? You wanted liberation. वहां से शुरू हुआ ना, बोलते हैं I want liberation. निर्विन्ना नितरान भूमन मैं डिजाइन disgusted, बहुत हो गया, I want liberation. So he is now telling, look, my mother, that bhakti will give liberation also. But bhakti will give you something better than liberation. That will give you prema. So in text 32nd, he described how bhav will develop by practice of bhakti. So having described the qualities of bhakti, Now, in 34th verse, he will give four spontaneous examples of bhav, four examples of spontaneous bhakti or bhava bhakti. In the 34th verse, he gives four examples. नैकात्मतां मे स्पृहयन्ति केचन मत्पादसेवाभिरता मदीहाः
मत्पादसेवाभिरता मदीहा
भागवत प्रसज्य
ये अन्यतो भगवतः प्रसज्य
सभाजयन्ते मम पौरुषाणि
सभाजयन्ते मम पौरुषाणि.
Who is attached to the activities of devotional service and who always engages in the service of my lotus feet, never desires to become one with me. Such a devotee who is unflinchingly engaged always glorifies my pastimes and activities.
So these devotees जिनके बारे में बोल रहा हूँ, they have four qualities. What are the four qualities of these devotees? Naikatmatam me sprihyanti, they never desire to become one with me. Second, mat pad seva abhirata, they are always attached to activities of devotional service. Madiha, they always desire to attain me. ये अन्योन्य तो भागवत प्रसज्य, अन्योन्य, अन्योन्य मीन्स साथ में आके बात करते हैं. अन्योन्यमासीत संजल्प, वो फर्स्ट कैंटो में आया था. वो जो कौरवेंद्र, जो लेडीज ऑन द टॉप ऑफ द पैलेस इन हस्तिनापुर, उसमें आया था. वो बात कर रही है तो क्या बोलते हैं, एक वर्ड आया था उनके टॉक्स को डिस्क्राइब करते हुए, याद है किसी को? They are better than the सर्व श्रुति सर्व श्रुति मनोहरा, अन्योन्यमासीत संजल्प उत्तम श्लोक चेतसाम कौरवेंद्र पुरस्त्रीणाम सर्व श्रुति मनोहरा. So अन्योन्य, अन्योन्य यहाँ पे क्या है? अन्योन्य means the devotees they discuss. क्या डिस्कस करते हैं? भागवत प्रसज्य, they discuss mama paurushani, they discuss about my pastimes, my activities. So they are bhagavata. Anyonyato bhagavat, bhagavat means devotees. These devotees, they are always engaged in my devotional service, in my beauty. When they come together, prasajya, prasajya means they come together. क्या करते हैं? Relish my pastimes. They never want to become one with the Lord. Anyone remembers any verse where the discussion between devotees are described? Devotee discusses amongst each other. Satam Prasanga, okay. भगवत गीता, हाँ, कैसे शुरू होता है वो? मच्चित्ता बोधयन्ता परस्परम. एक भागवत का भी एक श्लोक है, परस्परानुकथनम, सुना है? परस्परानुकथनम पावनम भगवती यशः, ये भी आता है. So that's it. Bhagavata prasajya, the devotees they discuss. They are not interested in liberation also. They are not interested. How many types of liberation are there? कौन से?
सायुज्य लास्ट में.
सायुज्य, सालोक्य, साष्टी, सामिप्य,
सामिप्य और
सालोक्य,
साष्टी
हो गया, हो गया,
षष्ठी,
हो गया, एक बचा है,
सायुज्य
हो गया, सारूप्य.
सारूप्य,
So सालोक्य, सारिष्टि, सामिप्य, सारूप्य ऐकत्वम अपियुत दीयमानम न गृह्णन्ति. देने पे भी नहीं लेते हैं. If विना मत सेवनम, seva is not there, I don't want liberation. So just like Hanumanji tells, if there is no seva, I don't want liberation. भवबंध छिदे तस्यै स्पृहयामि न मुक्तये भवान प्रभु अहम दास इति अत्र विलुप्यते. आप प्रभु और मैं दास, वो रिलेशन नहीं है तो मुक्ति नहीं चाहिए मेरे को, सेवा चाहिए. So the devotees, they deride liberation. Mukti to question ही नहीं है. Mukti to the devotees, they condemn. Anyone remembers any other verse where liberation is condemned? Mukti. मुक्ति माता जी को और कहाँ गाली दी गई है. मुक्ति एक प्रबोधानंद सरस्वती बोलते, क्या बोलते हैं? फेमस है ना, कैवल्यम. पहला ही वर्ड तो है कैवल्यम में कहते, उसमें बोलते हैं. फिर पृथु महाराज इन द फोर्थ कैंटो ही टेल्स आई डोंट वांट लिबरेशन, नकाम ये नहीं चाहिए मुझे. यहाँ पे आपके चरण का सेवा नहीं है. नयत्र युष्मत् चरणाम्बुजाशव. One verse in the Bhagavatam comes 3 times. एक श्लोक 3 बार आता है, ऑलमोस्ट सेम. चित्रकेतु एक वृत्रासुर के एपिसोड में आता है, एक ब्राह्मण पत्नी के एपिसोड में आता है, और एक उद्धव जी बोलते हैं. एक ही श्लोक 3 बार आता है ऑलमोस्ट. वो है उसमें वृत्रासुर इज ऑफरिंग हिज प्रेयर्स. वृत्रासुर के केवल 4 ही प्रार्थना है. One of the verses he says, न नाकपृष्ठं न च पारमेष्ट्यं न सार्वभौमं न रसाधिपत्यं न योग सिद्धिर अपुनर्भवं वा. अपुनर्भव नहीं चाहिए. समंजसत्वा विरहय्य कांक्षे नहीं चाहिए. I don't want liberation. I don't want any position in the world. तो ये 3 बार आता है. So that is the quality of a devotee who is practicing liberation. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, there are 5 kinds of liberation. And devotees, they don't want mukti. Ekatmatam, nahi chahiye mukti. फिर प्रभुपाद बोलते हैं 4 प्रकार की मुक्ति कौन सी होती है. फिर प्रबोधानंद सरस्वती का भी बोलते हैं कैवल्यम नरकायते. प्रभुपाद writes all that. And then अभी चांस मिला है तो मायावादियों को क्यों छोड़ देंगे प्रभुपाद. तो वो तो नहीं, कुछ भी हुआ तो आजा बेटा, चांस मिलना चाहिए बस. So Prabhupada blasts Mayavadis in the second paragraph. Impersonalists, they do not merge in the personal body. They merge into luster, that is Brahma Jyoti. So devotees are not interested in that. And then Mayavadis, they accept the descriptions of the Lord as stories. But here, Prabhupada, it is described, Mama Paurushani, अरे मेरे हैं, मेरे गुण, मेरी लीलाएं हैं. They are not imaginary. So Prabhupada writes about all that. And then Prabhupada describes how devotional service is Pancham Purushartha. Okay. So now, after describing all these things, the Lord Kapil Dev tells, hey, devotee मेरे लिए इतना कुछ करते हैं, you know how I reciprocate with them? So devotees, they don't merge into Brahman. They attain me. I reciprocate by bringing them to my lotus feet. He explains in 2 verses, 35th and 36th. Pashyanti te me ruchiranyam vasantaha. Prasanna vaktra runalochanani. Rupani divyani vara pradani. Sprahaniyam vadanti.
Oh my
Always see the smiling face of my son with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent. They also talk regularly with me.
So, you know how I reciprocate with my devotees? I reveal to them my beautiful face. Pashyanti te. उनको दर्शन देता हूं मैं. What form? Ruchirani. They can see my beautiful smiling face. Oh Amba, oh my mother. What more about your face? Prasanna. My face is Prasanna Vaktra. Beautiful smiling face. Aruna Lochanani. Aruna means reddish eyes. Morning, like morning, rising morning sun. And Rupani Divyani, they see my transcendental forms which are Varapradani, they are benevolent. And Sakam Vacham Sprihniya Vadanti, they speak pleasing words with me, they can talk to me also. I reveal my face and I talk to them also. So that is how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. So in the Bhakti Samrit Sindhu, Rupa Goswami also quotes a verse about sadhakas. So sadhakas who have developed rati for the Lord, what happens? There he says, Krishna sakshat krito yogya sadhaka parikirtita. These devotees, they are qualified to see Krishna directly. So basically here, whatever Kapila Devi is telling, that is description of pure bhakti, sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti. So bhav bhakti ke level pe devotees can see the Lord. They can talk to the Lord. So at the bhav, at the stage of bhav, they can see Krishna sporadically, not continuously. भाव में कभी कभी दिख जाते हैं, प्रेम में हमेशा दिखते हैं. What is bhav? It is prem surya amshu. It is like the ray of the sun of prema. So although Devahuti is actually directly talking to the Lord now, she is already at that level. But Krishna is telling all this just to show her how externally one progresses. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna first told Arjun, I'll now tell you. Uh, he says, first he says, yeah, although you are qualified for jnana, but still you practice karma. You are much more qualified. You can leave the world, but you still follow karma yoga. Why? To set a right example. Yadyadacharati sreshta tatta deve tarojana. And gradually he took him to the highest level of understanding of doing everything for Krishna. Yat karoshi yadashnasi fir manmanava madbhakto and sarva dharman parityajya. So that's how, Krishna, although Kapil Dev is telling here, his mother, how a devotee gradually advances to the highest level. But Devahuti is not at the lower level. She is already at the highest level. So it is just to teach others. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, because the devotees do not desire even merging in Brahman, they attain the following from me. What they attain? Two verses explain this. The word see is representative of activities, So the word used is Pashyanti. The Pashyanti means what? Hearing, chanting, tasting, all their senses, they can experience Krishna with all their senses. Seeing the forms is representative of hearing sounds, smelling fragrance, touching the Lord's skin. So the pure devotees, they can do all that. The forms give benedictions, varapradani. Or the forms say, devotees, please accept this gift. They speak with me as follows. Nakamay anyam tam pada sevanad akinchana. So this is the 15th chapter, 10th canto, 51st chapter. O powerful one, I desire no boon other than your service. Who is speaking to whom? Can someone see what is 10th canto, 51st chapter, 55th verse? Who is speaking to whom? So this devotee is telling, I do not desire any boon other than your service. The boon most eagerly sought by those free of material desires. Those who are free of material desires, क्या चाहते हैं वो मुक्ति चाहते हैं. लेकिन वे बोल रहे हैं, I don't want mukti also. I just want your service. Okay, Muchkunda is offering prayers. Okay, ठीक है. Okay, what else a devotee achieves? Taddarshaniya Vaivvairudara. Tairdarshan. विलासहासे क्षितवामसूक्तैः ऋतात्मनोरितप्राणांश्च भक्तिर्
कृतात्मनोरथ प्राणाश्च भक्ति
अनिच्छतो मे गतिमन्विं प्रयुङ्क्ते
सनिच्छतो मे गतिमन्विप्रयुङ्क्ते
Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are free from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor.
So, three benedictions Lord gives to his devotees. What are the three benedictions? Two benedictions in the previous verse. क्या क्या देते हैं? पहले तो बोलते हैं I give them my darshan and
My form.
they can see me, they can talk to me. And in this verse, he says, the third thing which I give to my devotee, I can give them liberation also. They can see me, they can talk to me, and I give them liberation. Tair darshaniya avayavair udara. Upon seeing the charming form of the Lord, vilas hasekshit, which is smiling, attractive, vama suktai, hearing the words, pleasing words, the devotee, Rita Atmana Prana, almost loses the consciousness. Just like the gopis, when Krishna plays his flute, gopis, they leave everything and run. They do not remember anything else. His senses are freed from all other engagements. And Anichhato me gatim anvim prayunkte. Ichha nahi hai. They don't desire liberation, but automatically a devotee is liberated. Present. The devotee is liberated in this world also. क्या हो? इह यस्य हरेर्दास्ये कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निखिलाश्रुपि अवस्थासु जीवन मुक्त स उच्यते. A devotee is liberated already in this world. He doesn't have to leave this world to get liberated. He is already liberated. Practically for a devotee of the Lord. So Prabhupada in the purport again describes that there are three kinds of devotees. Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam. Prabhupada says even the third class devotees are liberated souls. मतलब प्रभुपाद liberation को गाली देना है तो प्रभुपाद can give anyway. So that is the mercy of Prabhupada, otherwise liberation is very, very attractive. Prabhupada has saved us from this liberation. Because if somebody gets attached to liberation, they will lose the highest. So when we hear Prabhupada giving all the abusive words to liberation and all these jnanis, actually it is a very high stage. What is Brahmananda? It is million times more than Jadananda. Or Bhaktiananda, it is million times more than Brahmananda. तो अपने लेवल का सुख तो insignificant है ब्रह्मानंद के सामने. So it is very important to understand when Srila Prabhupada is condemning all these things so that we don't get trapped by this Brahmananda. Otherwise, we'll miss the highest. As it is said, good is the enemy of the best. So Brahmananda is wonderful. But if we get attached to Brahmananda, we'll not get the best thing. That is Bhaktiananda. The liberated. So Prabhupada asked Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, how many devotees are there in ISKCON? Prabhupada, 700. There are 700 pure devotees in this world. So, Prabhupada, if you want to, prove, Prabhupada wants to prove something, that's like, without any hesitation, full conviction. And Prabhupada can quote verses also. Kaviraj Goswami बोलता है ना, दो टाइप के शुद्ध भक्त हैं. He writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. सही भक्त गण हो द्विविध प्रकार पार्षद गणार साधक गणार. दो प्रकार के शुद्ध भक्त हैं. One who are Parshad Gan, others are Sadhak Gan, both are pure only. Time is separating. बस समय की बात है, कितना समय वो मत पूछो, समय की तो बात है बस. बस third class devotee is also liberated. It is explained in this verse that although they do not have knowledge, simply by seeing the beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, the devotee is absorbed in thought and loses all other consciousness. Simply by fixing oneself in Krishna consciousness, one is imperceptibly liberated. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, the distaste for merging in Brahman arises from amazing experience of sweetness from seeing me. So devotee gets disgusted by the thought of liberation. The limbs of Krishna and Ram are so attractive. They possess attractive words, glances, smiles, pastimes. They are udar. As first canto, there is a verse: Narmyani udara ruchira smita shobitani. He Partha, he Arjuna Sakhe Kurunandaneti. Sanjalpitani Narade Varidi Sprishani. Smaratur Dhantiridayam Mamadhavasya. Arjuna is remembering, oh, Krishna has left me. You talk to me very nicely. Narmyani udara ruchira. He would smile, he would joke with me. So Krishna, he manifests his beautiful forms with his loving glances, smiles, because he wants to fulfill the desires of his devotees. So therefore, devotees, they don't desire liberation. However, bhakti gives liberation without even desiring. Devotees already liberated. Oh devotee, please accept liberation. This is uttered, but there is no opportunity to give it. कृष्णा बोलते हैं लिबरेशन दे रहा हूं मैं, डिवोटी बोल रहे नहीं चाहिए, आपके पास ही रखो. I am happy. If that is so, now Chakravarti Thakur raises a question. If liberation is not so significant, then why bhakti offers it to them? देना ही क्यों liberation, अभी चाहिए ही नहीं तो. So Chakravarti Thakur writes a very wonderful analogy to it. That is how amazing Chakravarti Thakur is. He says, the person who can give chintamani or touchstone made of valuable diamonds and rubies sometimes make a show of giving gold. You know why? Because साधारण जनता को मालूम ही नहीं है कि touchstone क्या होता है. साधारण जनता knows only gold. So if this person shows gold, अरे gold है मतलब इसके पास और भी कुछ अच्छा होगा. That's how when the bhakti gives liberation, then people think, oh, bhakti gives liberation also, I want it. So that's how bhakti tricks that, okay, even if you want liberation, come to me, I'll give you liberation also. Otherwise, the foolish who desire only gold would cause disturbance by saying donor has no gold. इनके पास तो liberation है ही नहीं, तो इनके पास कुछ भी नहीं है मतलब. So that's how, in order to destroy foolishness of purported gyanis, who desire only liberation, offers liberation to devotees. भाई devotee को भी liberation मिल जाता है, देखो तो आप भी आ जाओ. Although devotee has no desire, anicchata. Devotee has no desire for liberation. Another reason why devotee is given liberation, he says, another meaning is that devotees out of humility do not desire that which is most suitable, beyond prakriti, and most difficult to understand. The devotee says, मैं क्या मुक्ति लेके करूंगा, मुक्ति तो बहुत बड़ी चीज है. I am not so qualified. That is how humbly devotee says, I don't want liberation. Okay, so that is how bhakti is the highest, and bhakti gives liberation to prove that, okay, bhakti is superior to liberation also, although devotees, they don't want it. Then Chakravarti Thakur writes.
So this person are from impersonal cases earlier.
Sorry?
Yes, even great information like Shukadev Goswami.
Earlier he was a Brahmavadi, na?
Shukadev Goswami.
So as soon as he was in the womb of the mother, he was a Brahmavadi. He was scared of the material world. I don't want to come out. So Vyasdev says, please come out, you are giving trouble to your mother. He says, even only if Mayadhish comes and tells, then I'll come out. So he came out. When Krishna came. And the word described there about Shukdev Goswami is, he was Tasya Putro Mahayogi Samdren Nirvikalpaka Ekantmatir Unnidro Gudho Mudha Ivete. This is a description of Shukdev Goswami as he came out of the womb. He has started walking. Mahayogi, liberated soul, Samdran, equipoised, Nirvikalpa, without any dualities, Ekantmati, situated in monism, that is Brahmavad. So he was a liberated sage, but Shukdev Goswami himself tells, na, what to speak of anyone, even liberated souls get attracted. Which verse says this? Even liberated souls get attracted to Bhakti. Atma Ramascha Munayo. So परीक्षित महाराज बोलते हैं कोई एग्जाम्पल है क्या इसका? बोले इधर सामने तुम्हारा एग्जाम्पल बैठा है ना. I was attached to Brahman. I heard and then I became devotee. So that is what is described here. So Chakravarti Thakur continues, Bhakti forcibly makes them take liberation to experience the happiness of Brahman, although they don't want it. But then the Lord pulls them out of that liberation in the manner that Krishna pulled the inhabitants of Braja out of Brahmarada and put them in spiritual world. Because the Brajvasis, when they heard about Brahma, Brahmananda and Brahmukti, they got attracted. Wow. So Krishna showed them Viraja. He showed them Brahmananda. But then he showed them what is beyond Brahmananda. And they found, अरे ये तो अपने जैसा ही दिख रहा है. Either the same things which they were experiencing here, they were seeing in the spiritual world also. So that's how Krishna, he showed them everything and he showed them how their level is higher than even Brahman. That is what is just said. Okay, we'll stop here. We will continue next time. Maybe a test, right? Yeah. So it's not Vishnu Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
जय